This is Joe Kopsick. It's April 4th, 2019, and I wanted to make a video about the Jussie Smollett case, or rather the non-case. Jimmy Dore just put a video out the other day called CNN Pretends Truth of Jussie Smollett is Unknowable, where he basically says that Jussie Smollett is guilty of planning the attack against him and criticizes a CNN reporter, Brian Stelter, for saying we can't know what happened that night. And I think we can't know what happened that night. I agree with Stelter. You can say whatever you want about his reputation or anything or his goals. But I just want to read to you something that I just emailed to the Jimmy Dore show about this topic. I appreciate you covering the Jussie Smollett case, but I'm having trouble understanding a few things. One, there is video of the Nigerian brothers purchasing the weapons used in the alleged attack. Two, the magazines used in the ransom note they sent were found at the Nigerian brothers' house. Why are these two facts being used to prove that the attack was staged? If anything, these facts prove that the attack happened. Obviously, we can't know either one, but think about it. These facts prove the brothers had the weapons on them at the time of the attack, number one. Number two, it proves that they sent the threatening letter to Smollett before the attacks happened because they had the cutout magazines at their home. If you read the police proffer, the written statement about what the police were told in the course of the investigation, you'll notice that there's a discrepancy between what the police are saying in the statement and what the Nigerian brothers and Smollett said in their verbal statements. The Chicago police are the only sources, quote unquote, who ever claimed that either the Nigerian brothers or Smollett confessed. There is zero evidence, straight from Smollett's mouth or the mouths of the Nigerian brothers, that anyone ever confessed to anything. That idea comes exclusively from the police, from the proffer they wrote, and from the media sources that cite the police and that document as if they were reliable sources. They're not. Additionally, Smollett said he believed his attackers to be white, which is confusing because they're allegedly black if his story is true. But his attorney, Mark Garagos, suggested that the Nigerian brothers attacked Smollett while wearing whiteface behind the mask that they were wearing. So if that's true, it does explain, or would explain, why Smollett thought his attackers were white. There also exists photographic evidence that Smollett received a threatening letter containing a ransom note made of cut-out magazine pieces, the originals of which were found at the brothers' residence. That letter had MAGA written on it, MAGA standing for Make America Great Again, Trump's slogan. Nobody can prove whether Smollett's alleged attackers yelled, "This is MAGA country," at him during the attack. But if they didn't, then perhaps Smollett was thinking of the letter when he told his interviewer that the attackers shouted that at him. Maybe he was confused. Isn't it at least possible that Smollett did hire the brothers for training, which was what was written on the check? The purpose of the check said training, physical training. But isn't it possible that after he hired them for training, they got into some sort of altercation? Maybe it was about the check not being worth enough money, and maybe that would explain why it was canceled later. But maybe it wasn't the money. Maybe it was over an ecstasy deal. Smollett admitted to buying ecstasy or Molly from one of the brothers. Maybe they had an argument over a drug deal. Maybe he hit on them and they were mad, or maybe they're homophobic. Who knows? The point is, maybe the attack did happen. Maybe they had a disagreement. Maybe the brothers even racketeered against Smollett. Maybe they offered to train him and then sent him threatening letters at the same time to create the problem of a threat against his life or his safety, and then profit off of providing the solution, i.e. physical training, which was written on the check. Maybe the reason that Smollett only provided partial and redacted phone records was because he was ashamed to admit that he had to resort to calling the police after being so slow to realize that he had failed to understand that his attackers were people he knew and trusted and had been talking to all the time. Doubt Stelter's credibility all you want, and fuck CNN, but in my opinion, Stelter is correct that we don't know what happened that night, and we might never will. And I don't believe Smollett made a deal with the prosecutor. I think they dropped the charges against him because all the evidence was made up by the police in their written proffer, which contradicts all verbal statements made in the case. And because the police know that Smollett is rich, and they want to get as much money out of him as possible. Thanks for listening. Feel free to comment.